In many gardens, the same quiet scene repeats every week. A gardener walks through the soil, sees small green plants growing between vegetables, and without thinking much, pulls them out. It feels like the right thing to do. Because those plants look like they are taking space, taking water, and taking nutrients. But something strange has been noticed over time. In just a few weeks after removing them, the soil often looks weaker instead of better. The ground feels drier. New growth becomes slower. And in some nearby gardens where those same plants are left alone, something opposite happens. Vegetables grow steadier. Leaves look deeper green. And the soil feels more alive without any extra fertilizer added. At first, this feels backward. Because most of us were taught the same simple idea. Weeds steal nutrients. So they must be removed. But long-term observation in real gardens tells a more complicated story. And if you have ever struggled with soil that feels tired or plants that grow slowly, this is important to understand. You are not doing anything wrong. In fact, many careful gardeners make the same choice every season. They simply remove something that was quietly supporting the soil in ways that are not easy to see at first glance. And once you start noticing this pattern, a new question appears. Which of these so-called weeds are actually helping the garden? And which ones are truly harmful? Because hidden inside this ordinary garden problem is a surprising idea. Some of the plants we remove without thinking may actually be part of the soil's recovery process. And one of them is so common that most gardeners pull it out without realizing it could be helping the ground rebuild itself naturally. Before explaining why this happens, it helps to understand how this habit became so common in the first place. For a long time, gardening advice focused on control. A clean garden was considered a healthy garden. Every unwanted plant was seen as competition. If something was not planted on purpose, it was treated as a problem. This thinking made sense in managed farms and formal gardens where space and nutrients were carefully controlled. But nature does not work in straight lines like that. In natural soil, nothing grows alone. Every plant is connected to roots, microbes, insects, and decaying matter in a slow cycle of exchange. When we remove everything that looks unwanted, we may also interrupt that cycle without realizing it. And that is where the misunderstanding begins. Because not all wild plants behave the same way. Some truly do compete strongly with crops. But others play a very different role beneath the surface. They reach deeper into the soil. They pull up minerals that are not available near the top layer. And when they die back or decompose, those minerals slowly return to the upper soil where vegetables can use them. So instead of only taking from the soil, they also bring something back. This idea is often missed because it happens quietly. There is no dramatic change overnight. Just small improvements that build over time. And this is where the first surprising observation begins. In some gardens, people started noticing something unusual. When certain wild plants were left in place near vegetable beds, the surrounding crops looked slightly stronger. Not instantly. Not dramatically. But slowly and steadily. Leaves appeared a little greener. Stems looked a bit firmer. And the soil stayed more balanced after watering. At first, this was easy to ignore. It could have been coincidence. Or weather changes. Or differences in seed quality. But when the same pattern appears again and again in different gardens, it becomes harder to dismiss. Something was happening in the soil that was not immediately visible. And this leads to a deeper question. What is actually happening under the ground when these plants are growing? To understand that, we need to look at the hidden nutrient cycle that most people never see. Below the surface, soil is not static. It is alive. Tiny organisms break down old roots and organic matter. Water moves minerals slowly from one layer to another. And plant roots are constantly interacting with this system. Some wild plants grow very deep root structures. Much deeper than most vegetables. As they grow, they reach minerals that are locked far below the surface. They do not create these minerals. They simply access what is already there. Then, when these plants die or shed their leaves, that material breaks down and returns to the top layer of soil. Over time, this creates a slow upward movement of nutrients. Almost like a natural lifting system inside the ground. This is not something we usually notice while gardening day to day. But it becomes more visible when we stop removing every single wild plant immediately. And this is where the idea becomes more interesting. Because not every weed behaves this way. But a small group of very common ones often do. There are 6 that appear in many different climates and soil types. Dandelion is one of them, with its deep taproot reaching far into compact soil. Clover is another, known for working quietly with soil organisms and helping balance nitrogen naturally. Plantain, not the fruit but the small green-leafed plant, often grows in compact or tired soil and helps loosen it over time. Chickweed spreads gently across the surface and protects soil moisture while it grows and decays quickly. Nettle grows strong and tall, often in rich soil, and returns valuable organic material when it breaks down. And Purslane, a soft spreading plant, holds moisture and supports soil coverage during hot periods. Each of these plants behaves differently, but they share one quiet pattern. They do not only compete. They also contribute to the living structure of the soil when allowed to complete their natural cycle. This does not mean every garden should keep all wild plants without question. Because timing matters. And this is where many gardeners make a simple but important mistake. They remove these plants too early. Before they have grown enough. Before they have contributed organic material. Before they have completed their natural role in the soil cycle. It feels like maintenance. But sometimes it interrupts a process that was already helping the ground recover. A more helpful approach is simply observation. Not all weeds need to stay forever. But not all need to be removed immediately either. And this is where patience begins to change how a garden feels. Still, it is important to be honest. Not every garden responds the same way. Soil type plays a large role. In sandy soil, the effects may appear faster because nutrients move more easily. In heavy clay soil, changes may take longer because water and air move more slowly through it. Climate also matters. In wetter regions, decomposition happens faster. In dry regions, plant material may stay longer before breaking down. So what works gently in one garden may behave differently in another. This is why observation is more important than strict rules. You are not trying to copy someone else's garden. You are learning how your own soil responds over time. And there is also another important point. These plants are not always helpful in every situation. Sometimes they grow too quickly and compete with vegetables for space. Sometimes they spread beyond what is comfortable. And in those cases, it is completely reasonable to remove them. The goal is not to leave everything untouched. The goal is to understand what is happening before deciding. Because when gardeners begin to see these plants as part of a system instead of just problems, something shifts. Instead of fighting the garden, they start reading it. Small changes become easier to notice. Soil that once felt lifeless begins to show subtle signs of recovery. Not through sudden transformation. But through steady, quiet improvement. And this is the deeper insight that often comes after watching long enough. Healthy soil is not something you force into place. It is something you learn to recognize and support. Every plant, even the ones we call weeds, is part of a larger conversation happening under the surface. And when you stop reacting automatically and start observing more carefully, the garden begins to teach you instead of resisting you. If you have noticed any small changes in your own garden after leaving certain plants alone, it can be interesting to reflect on that. Not as right or wrong. Just as information. Because every garden tells its own story. And I am genuinely curious, if you feel comfortable sharing, have you ever noticed a wild plant in your garden that seemed to help nearby vegetables grow better over time? As we reach the end of this idea, it becomes clearer that gardening is not only about removing and controlling. It is also about understanding timing, balance, and natural cycles. When we rush to clear everything, we may miss quiet processes that are already working in our favor. But when we slow down and observe, even ordinary plants start to look different. Not as enemies. Not as perfect helpers either. But as part of a living system that is always adjusting itself. And sometimes, the most helpful approach in the garden is not to do more, but to notice more. Because often, the garden improves when we simply step back and observe.